Love has a way of making people do the unthinkable. And for Gao Tu, that truth had become terrifyingly real. Even after all the chaos, all the confusion, a thought now haunted him sometimes. In quiet, uncontrollable moments, he found himself imagining. Maybe one day, Shen Wenlang could accept his love. The thought alone sent shivers down his spine. Gao Tu, who had spent weeks trying to calm himself, felt the grip of fear tighten around his chest. It was like a scene out of a horror movie. He felt like he was slipping into a hallucination, teetering on the edge of insanity. But nothing could have prepared him for what came next. The moment he realized he was pregnant, his mind went completely blank. The world around him ceased to exist for a moment, replaced by a stark, terrifying realization. This was no longer something he could handle alone. The pheromone doctor, a stern and experienced specialist, delivered his words without hesitation. As a patient with a pheromone disorder, it is impossible for you to give birth safely without the cooperation of your alpha partner. Mr. Gao, you can't do this alone. The words hit him like a hammer. The doctor was right. Years of experience had taught him the dangers of Gao Tu's condition, and now it had become painfully clear. Once, the doctor had assumed Gao Tu's troubles stemmed from a partner who discriminated against his omega pheromones, someone who recoiled at his natural scent. But now, this was far more serious. Out of responsibility for your life, I strongly advise terminating the pregnancy, the doctor said, his voice heavy with concern. Give up the child. Gao Tu's face turned pale. He swallowed hard, refusing to accept that this could be his only option. Is there no other way? He whispered, his voice trembling. I've heard about artificial soothing pheromones. Or maybe I could use the pheromones of another alpha? Someone with a higher compatibility. The doctor shook his head slowly. That is not practical. Your condition is far too severe. You're vomiting, loss of appetite, insomnia. These are not minor symptoms. They are serious, and even doctors who encounter them rarely can bear to watch. Gao Tu's heart sank, but the words that came next struck him harder than anything else. That alpha you like. He's a scumbag. Gao Tu's lips parted, a protest forming, but he couldn't find the strength to speak. He's not. It's my own fault, he muttered, bowing his head in shame. The older Omega doctor slammed the medical record on the table, frustration clear in his expression. No matter the circumstances, you cannot carry this child alone. And that scum, who hates Omegas but still takes advantage, does he have any responsibility at all? Gao Tu didn't want to dwell on blame. There was no point in arguing about who was at fault. The problem now was simple. He had to find a way to survive this, to protect the child growing inside him. Doctor, he said, his voice small but firm, I know you are advising this for my safety, but I want this child. I want to keep it. Shame washed over him. To admit that he wanted to keep Shen Wenlang's child, it was almost unbearable to speak aloud. He lowered his head, silence stretching between them, before asking in a trembling voice, Why? Why can't I use pheromones from other alphas? The doctor sighed deeply, the weight of reality pressing down on both of them. Gao Tu. Patients with pheromone disorders already face immense difficulty during pregnancy. Without the comfort of their own alpha's pheromones, survival is far from guaranteed. Look at your early pregnancy symptoms. They are far worse than most Omegas experience. Artificial pheromones. And other alphas. Can't they help? Gao Tu's desperation was audible, his words almost a whisper. The doctor shook his head. Artificial pheromones provide very limited relief, and using pheromones from other alphas. There are serious moral and medical risks. Your disorder is not mild, Gao Tu. Even if you tried, the reaction during pregnancy could be catastrophic. You could be risking both your life and the child's. Gao Tu's cheeks burned with embarrassment. He had thought there might be any way to save the child. But what if we tried? What if we could fight for it? Gao Tu asked, his voice barely audible. The doctor raised an eyebrow, wary. Fight? Against the limits of biology?
Against a disorder that endangers you? You need to understand. Gao Tu.
Some things cannot be overcome with determination alone. Yet Gao Tu could not let go of hope. Sitting in the sterile, cold clinic, he closed his eyes, trying to envision a future where this child could exist. He tried to imagine Shen Wenlang, not as the distant, unattainable alpha, but as the father of this child. Naive though it was, he believed for a moment that it could work. If I could get the pheromone extract from the father, from Shen Wenlang, I could save the child, right? Gao Tu whispered to himself, almost laughing at the absurdity of it. He had believed, foolishly, that Shen Wenlang could somehow be persuaded,
That there was some part of him that could be reached. He even took steps to protect both himself and the child.
He commissioned a lawyer to draft an exhaustive series of documents, property waivers, inheritance disclaimers, even a parent-child severance agreement. Gao Tu was determined to cover every legal and moral contingency.
He just wanted the child. He did not want a partner, did not ask for love, did not ask for anything from Shen Wenlang beyond survival.
But reality, as it so often does, delivered its cruel verdict. After gathering all his courage, after preparing his mind for confrontation, he had approached Shen Wenlang. He had whispered the words, presented the logic, pleaded with him.
And the answer was devastatingly simple. Of course, abort it. At that moment,
Gao Tu felt as though the floor had been ripped from beneath him. Desperation surged through him in waves, each one more suffocating than the last. He could not face Shen Wenlang again. He could not utter another word. Standing at the clinic door, he stared blankly at a stain on the floor, his mind trapped in a swirl of despair. Time passed around him, but he remained frozen, lost in thought, unable to return to the world of the living. The child, the tiny fragile life growing inside him, was everything to him. But Gao Tu had been dealt an impossible hand. His own body betrayed him. The very biology that should have been nurturing instead threatened to destroy.
and the one person whose pheromones could save that life
had refused. Tears streamed down his face as he recalled the doctor's warnings, the moral and physical impossibility of using another alpha's pheromones.
Even if volunteers were available, even if he tried, the odds were terrifyingly against him. The child might not survive. He might not survive. The thought was unbearable. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our dramatic ABO Desire episodes.
Share your thoughts in the comments. What would you do if you were in Gao Tu's shoes?